Welcome to Cowboys and Indian, the footballing show. This is a special episode. It's actually run by our dear friend JB, and either myself, Stuart, or the singing cowboy himself, Dougie, will be present. But this is also a special show because this show, John talks to Mark Phillips, who is manager of Pathways and Development at our beloved West Ham. So the show was fantastic. John done a great job. Loved Mark's input, and it made me laugh. So and incredibly interesting at the same time. So please do enjoy, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and even a comment. Thank you very much. Enjoy.
Right, good evening, everybody. This is a special show tonight. Unfortunately, there's no Tony, no Stuart, and no Dougie. But what you got is me, John. Special interview on the Cowboys and Indian show. Special guest tonight, asking about the West Ham Academy, trying to answer some questions, give us a bit more insight on what goes on behind the scenes. Don't forget, follow the channel, subscribe, and just like to introduce you now to Mark Phillips. Evening, Mark.
How you doing? You're all right. I don't know if I'm in the Cowboys or the Indian section. I'm not really sure.
You're in the Cowboys with the rest of us, mate. Don't worry about that.
A lot of people see me coach might put me in the Cowboys section. I ain't sure.
Anyway. I couldn't say that. Not with your reputation. Not with your reputation at all. So, yeah, really appreciate you giving some time up, Mark. I say, hopefully it won't be too long an interview. Nothing too strenuous. Just a few questions here and there. Just want to ask some questions, basically. You know, your history, where you've come from, and obviously I know you're involved with West Ham now. Did you start out in football? Did you start through any academies yourself as a kid, or?
As a player?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't good enough. I played semi-professional football for quite a few clubs, really. I played for Cray Wanderers. I ended up as player manager for Cray Wanderers, who are now in the Ryman's Premier. Played for Barkingside. Played for Leighton County. That's. There's no excuses. I wasn't good enough to be a professional footballer.
Open and honest, that's what I like to see. Straight away, straight in there.
I might have thought I was at the time, but that's the reason. No,
I think everyone's got that belief and the dream that they're good enough, and then they realise when they're thrown in the deep end, it's cutthroat to say the least. So, obviously, you've been at West Ham now about 20 odd years, but before that, you was obviously down at Arsenal. I think how long was you down at Arsenal for?
I was at Arsenal for 3 years. They sort of give me a start in the programme, which I was, someone I knew worked there, and I took the team in there. And I was very reluctant to go to Arsenal, being so West Ham. I was like, saying, I can't work for you. I'm West Ham. They went, yeah. There's people who support other teams. And I said, well, I didn't like to think myself, like if anyone see me in an Arsenal tracksuit driving home, and think, what's he doing in an Arsenal tracksuit? It was weird. It's different for me because I was so West Ham, but they treated me well enough. I'm not going to lie, they was okay to me. But as soon as the opportunity and West Ham did come in for me, I didn't apply for a job. Tony Carr rang me up. So as soon as the opportunity was there to go to West Ham, but obviously I went to West Ham.
Yeah, obviously Tony Carr is just a legend in himself around that club. The history he's got and the attachment he's got. It's just a no-brainer. When anyone like that phones you up, I think you just got to say yes.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't have been anywhere to where I am today if it wasn't for Tony. Tony, brought me into the club part-time, then he gave me a full-time job, then he promoted me up to the 18s, and, I'm still friends with Tony now. So, yeah, I can only have to thank Tony Carr for that.
Yeah, as I say, his reputation speaks for itself. Then, you've only got to look at the players that come through under his tutelage. It's especially at West Ham, and not just West Ham, but for England as well. When you look at how many people have gone on, had successful careers and things like that, and a lot of that comes down to not just him, but obviously people like yourself behind the scenes as well that are, always called the unsung hero, so to speak.
And also, he was right in it. He was very astute, if you want to call it that, in employing Jimmy Hampson and Jimmy Tyndall, who were the recruitment officers at the time. And they'd done a lot of work at getting the players to West Ham, because there's obviously the likes of Rio and Jermaine Defoe and Joe Cole and all those Glenn Johnson, those sorts of players. You have to get them through the doors to start. So the recruitment, great job at that time.
That's what I say. Without them, I say they're all the unsung heroes, the names that never get mentioned, like you say. It's like you just mentioned them. You just don't hear them names mentioned around or bounded around.
No, those people in football and those people who work at the club, obviously Tony's the one who at the time was academy manager. He's the one who got the plaudits, but there's lots of people, Paul Heffer, people like that, who was really involved.
Yeah, I mean, someone else mentioned that name the other day, actually, Paul Heffer, and it was, I can't think who it was, and it was, obviously he was there for many years, wasn't
Yeah, I mean, Paul played for West Ham, and
Yeah.
obviously was going in the first team in the '60s, and he got an injury, had a testimonial, but he's an unsung sort of West Ham. If you used to speak to Rio or to Frank Lampard and all those players, they'd give a lot of credit to Paul Heffer, who does a lot of good stuff behind the scenes.
Yeah, that's what I say. There's a lot, as you say, there's so many names that you never hear mentioned, and then all of a sudden someone mentions it, and you look at their history at the club, and they've been there for, as you say, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, some people. And when you go back to the early days of the 80s, we had like Ernie Gregory and people like that, they were just there for life.
Yeah, and it's the people who work at the club, who know that and know they are the people who have. As I say, if you have to ask the Rio and Frank, they definitely mention Paul Heffer without a doubt.
Yeah, I'll say if I ever get the chance to, then obviously hopefully one day we'll get them on the show. We can have a chat with them as well. But you never know what happens. We'll see where this goes. So
Yeah,
I know obviously you said that Tony Carr gave you a call, and how did that job actually materialise to come over to West Ham then?
Well, I think that I was doing the under 10s at Arsenal, and they was having a particularly good season. And for some political reasons, West Ham's under 10s that season was struggling. It's quite difficult if they had ex-players. They had like Peter Braybrook's grandson was in the team. There was other players, I can't remember who there was now, but Freddie Moncur was in the team. There was like players, and the coach just found it difficult, and he was struggling. And one of my mates was a scout there, Dennis Lepine. I don't know if you know Dennis. He used to run all church coaches as well for West Ham. He's a well-known West Ham fan. And he said, the fellow who's doing the under-10s at Arsenal, being me, he said, he's West Ham, he'll come here tomorrow. He said, you should ask him. And that's how he got me over to West Ham. Dennis told Tony, and Tony rang me. That's how it worked.
Gosh. It was like a dream come true as soon as that phone call come in then, literally.
Yeah, I walked there from wherever I was at the time. I mean, I actually thought it was a joke. I thought it was one of my mates messing about, because that's the sort of thing they're doing there. I was going, yeah, all right. And Tony's going, no, it's Tony Carr. I want you to come in. And then I thought, it's Tony Carr. So it all went from there, really.
Ah, brilliant. Yeah, obviously, I'll say you've been there 20 odd years now, and obviously working in the background behind the scenes and that. You've worked with some club legends that have come through the academy. Kevin Keane, Steve Potts, even Mark Robson to a degree. Some of them players. I mean, it must be nice to see them take their coaching to a different level as well. As I say, Kevin Keane's been around the block, all different clubs in the years, but he still always ended up coming back, to his roots, so to speak. So it's
I mean, I worked with Kevin with the 18s, and not last season, but before that for maybe 5 seasons. I worked closely with him, and like someone who used to go and see play. And although he comes from Buckinghamshire, Kev, he's West Ham through and through. It's weird. And I mean, he wasn't West Ham as a kid. He had lots of clubs up in QPR, Manchester United, and he chose West Ham. And from when he chose West Ham, he has got claret and blue with his veins. He lives in leafy Buckinghamshire, but Kev Keane is proper West Ham. Trust me.
old school West Ham.
Yeah,
exactly. It's like you say, Steve Potts. He's again just through and through. I mean, it's so nice to see his kids coming through and doing well as well. Over the years as well, which is a nice touch.
I mean, obviously, I'm going to make a prediction now that Freddie Potts is going to go on and score more goals in the first team than Steve did, which ain't that hard.
Yeah. Just to say, I was there the day Steve Potts scored against Hull as well, so I can vouch for that one.
He scored that one, but Freddie's a different sort of player. He's a dynamic sort of all-action midfielder. So I'd be surprised if Freddie, once he gets in the team, hopefully, he'll go and score more goals than Steve. And we'll give Steve if he does.
That's what I say. It's definitely something he can have a bet with his dad with, that's for sure.
I mean, he's like Steve. Steve's such an unassuming bloke. Never gives it the big one. Just plays it down. And he's played all them games and all that. You know what I mean? He never ever gives it the big one about who he is or what he's done, anything like that. And Fred is in the same sort of vein. Really, really.
Steve Potts must be in the top 10, any appearance wise. I think in the club's history. I think he's got to be up there.
I think he's. I think he's done 5. It's 505 or something. I can't remember, but I think he was high and dry on 499 league games, and Glenn Roeder could have brought him on as a sub in last season. Not saying Steve's bitter about that, but he could have just brought him on to make him 500.
So obviously, I know we've been through the coaching that you've done in the past with some of the other lads and that. What's your actual role as such now? Is it obviously I know you do get involved still with the coaching, but what's your actual official title at the club now then?
I'm manager of pathways and development, which is sort of like we play a lot of players up at West Ham. So by playing a player up, what I mean is if you're an under 14 and we think you're exceptional in the under 14s, we might push you. You're obviously still going to be an under 14, but we might play you in the under 15s. And exceptionally, we might play you in the under 16s. The same as if you're doing really well as a 17, like Emeka is now. He plays regularly in the under 21s, and you're being tested. And there's lots of players. Ollie Scholes being one of them. Ollie Scholes was playing for the under 18s when he was an under 15. Played him up, and he sort of found his way to the first team. Not because we played him up. I don't take the credit for it, but that's what you have to do with players who you think of, are used to it and can cope with it. You play them up a few years.
So you can kind of pick it out when they're at that kind of age. Then you can kind of see it, in the distance. Obviously, with the experience, you can see it coming.
Not everyone, because Deck didn't play up. I mean, the first year we got Deck, he played. He got a scholarship, and he was an under 16. Played in the under 16s. Then he was an under 17s, and he played in the under 18s as the first year. He didn't play up in the 21s the first year he was here. But he sort of cracked on and hasn't had a bad career, the fella. So.
Nah, sort of say, ain't done bad, has he? Can't knock it.
You don't know until they're out there playing for the first team how they're going to cope with it. You really don't. Yeah. I mean, no one's. You might have an idea, but you don't know they're definitely it's going to be okay.
It's the kind of sink or swim scenario, isn't it? You kind of throw them in and hope that they swim, rather than just get swallowed up in it.
I mean, I'm probably more nervous than anyone when they come and make their debut. They're just out there doing their thing and playing off the cuff. I'm obviously nervous and worried how they're going to perform because. You want all of them. You have a personal relationship with all of them. You want all of them to do. I mean, I would love a team of homegrown players playing in the first team. It's obviously not going to happen. It's impossible. It's ridiculous. That's actually what you would want in your mind.
That's what I say. As a club, I mean, we welcome with open arms, do we? I mean, it's the same old story. We've done it all ever since year dot really, going back to the Ron Green with Johnny Lyle days. As soon as you get a youngster come through, they're looked after. The fans take to them. The players take to them and they're just remembered. I mean, it's like the conversation we had previously earlier about Freddie Sears. I mean, he didn't go and set the world alight, but everyone still remembers him.
Yeah, I mean, he scored within a few minutes of being on the pitch in his debut, so and we won the game there. They're going to remember him through that. But I mean, it won't happen again. But everyone knows we won the World Cup. We won West Ham. Everyone says West Ham won the World Cup, and we're obviously hankering for the days where we might have 2 or 3 in the England setup who's come through our academy. I think the rest of England should be waiting for that because if they want to win the World Cup, you have to have West Ham players in the team.
Part of the rules. But as I say, I mean, it's quite a nice satisfaction for you to see that the youngsters coming through, and you can obviously see hopefully them moving to the front side now. I mean, they seem to have a bit more pathway under the new gaffer there. Likes of Ollie Scholes coming in. You've got Caelan Casey. You've got George Orford.
Yeah, I mean,
sorry, Lewis Orford and George Urphy. Sorry,
George Urphy and Lewis Orford in one player. That is an hell of a player if you put 2 of them together.
Yeah, it'd be good, wouldn't it?
Oh, to be fair, you are right in what you're saying, and I'm not just saying it because he's now my new gaffer. If you want. Graham Potter is interested in our young players. He's interested in the academy. He genuinely is, and he did the same at Brighton. And as I say, I'm not being clever after the event. I've been saying for the last 2 years that he's the man for us, and then people go, "Oh, Chelsea." Certain managers fit certain clubs, and I think he's going to be ideal and just right for us. I mean, this season, I'm not. No, we're safe. Everyone's safe from relegation. Doesn't matter how many points we get. We're safe with how many we've got now. It's a rebuild for me and a build for next year. And how we get on between the start of the season and Christmas, I'll be really interested.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I mean, obviously, I know looking back now. I mean, do you feel players coming through academies now, they're a lot better supported in regards to they're looked after in their academic side of things as well? They asked to do qualifications, keeping an eye on their GCSEs and things like that as well through the club, or do they basically still get left to do their own devices sort of thing?
No, I think the academy, I can't speak for any other clubs because I've been at West Ham for 18 years. But I mean, we've got 2 people who are full time in the player care department, looks after all their players off field. We've got 3 teachers. Some of our players are doing A levels, some are doing BTEC courses. They're really well, and God forbid, even if they're being released by West Ham, we've got an aftercare group as well, who looks after them, how they're doing, trying to get them trials in clubs, making sure they're not sort of falling through the cracks. So players in this day and age are much well looked after. Is that proper English? Much better looked after than they would have been, say, when I first started 18 years ago.
Yeah. No, that's what I say. I mean, you hear about things like that where players just get left and they're just chucked on the scrap heap. But as you say now, I mean, obviously, if they they're going to be leaving West Ham, you've just said it yourself there. The club do and try and help them find another club. Get the chance. Because obviously, if that's all they've known since they've been at the club since 7 or 8 years old, and then they're released at 18, 19. They don't know anything else, and it's kind of their hearts and dreams are shattered. It's trying to pick them up and dust them down and see where they can go in it. I mean, obviously I know they look at trying to put them through coaching courses and things like that as well. Something else for them to open their eyes to, which, again, is something that not everyone's going to make it as a coach or a manager, but they get that idea of what's expected, so it's always nice to hear the club are doing that behind the scenes as well. So,
yeah, I mean, as I say, there is an exit committee or an exit panel who will try and place them maybe down, because if you haven't made it at West Ham, you might have to go down a division or 2, or maybe even go into the conference or the Rymans and look at coming back from that sort of thing. But just don't say, oh no, we don't want you anymore, and just leave it at that. That's not we wouldn't be portrayed as a family club if we didn't look after our players and ex-players.
I totally get that. I mean, just got a couple more little questions now. I mean, we've got such a great crop of youngsters coming through at the moment. Obviously the 1 year FA Youth Cup the other year, and the under 21 leagues and that. Is there many players in these crop of players coming through at the moment you think are actually going to be good enough to crack on to make first team for the club? Or
well, as I alluded to a little while ago, you couldn't have them all in the team together because they'd just get they'd get overpowered. You have to be in there with proven pros. I mean, if you look at the players we've got out on loan, just take them out on loan. I mean, you've got Freddie Potts playing regularly for Portsmouth in the Championship. You've got George Urphy playing regularly for Bristol City in the Championship. You've got Callum Marshall scoring, playing week in, week out at Huddersfield Town. You've got Patrick Kelly at Doncaster. You've got Ollie Scholes and Callum Casey and Lewis Orford in and around the first team. So there's about 7 or 8 I've named. And then there's other players, younger players below that. We're in the under-18s Premier Cup final in about 3 weeks' time against Reading. So, the academy is thriving and doing well. It's the days of, bringing the as I named earlier, Joe Cole, Michael Carrick, Johnson and all those through to Rio through together. The class of 92 at Man United, I don't think really at this moment is happening in the game with the influx of so many quality foreign players. But if you've got one a year in your first team, that's saving the club an astronomical amount of money, and it's also giving the fans what we want. Because I work in it. I'm when I was a player, it's nice to have homegrown players in the team who are West Ham and know what it means to play for our fantastic club.
Yeah, brilliant. No, that's pretty much all I've got for you, Mark. Really appreciate you spending some time with us. taking some time out your busy schedule. As I say, I know you're rushed off your feet and we've had a few issues trying to get you on and what have you. But no, like I say, I really, really appreciate your time. I'd like to thank everybody again for watching. If you subscribe to the channel, and we look forward to seeing you in the future.
No problem. Thanks very much.